Alrighty, good morning guys. It is Sunday and we're gonna get back on this project right here. So I made a small list of some of the things I gotta do today right off the bat just so I didn't forget. So gotta undo the heater core hoses, firewall ground, and parking brake cable. Those are three things we left off with yesterday. So 2 heater hoses, which I almost guarantee you I'm gonna break those fittings off because they are the cheapest things that GM ever put on this truck. And then that ground cable, that's easy money, right? And then the last thing, parking brake cable. Haven't undone one of those before. I know that they go towards the back here, and I'm hoping that I can just simply undo them, but I've seen a lot of parted out trucks and people usually end up cutting them, so I'm not normally a hack like that, but if this is gonna be a half-day project to undo the parking brake cable, we might reconsider it. So we're gonna start off with that, and I'll catch back up because after that, hopefully the cab's coming off this frame and we have a roller ready to pull the engine and trans out. So those are our goals for today. We'll see how close we can get to them. Quick update. So I got the ground cable off the firewall, which is this guy right here. So that connects to the back of the engine. It should be, I think it's the block back by the oil pressure sensor. And then I got the heater core hoses off, and actually, much to my surprise, both of them did come off. And much also to my surprise, I did have the special tool for taking those off in my toolbox. So pretty happy about that because I was looking at them and I was like, man, how the heck do you get these off? And it's the, I didn't realize, I thought it was a different style. This is like the generic fuel line disconnect tool that you can buy at like any auto parts store. So in my toolbox here, I got all different sizes of them for doing like fuel lines and sometimes transmission connecting lines and stuff like that, and clearly heater hoses too. So this is one of those Lyle tools that, like I said, you can get them at O'Reilly's or anything like that. So fun fact, have that tool, didn't even know it. So I guess I was going to kind of show you how these work. Essentially, you stick this on that tube back there like this, and then it falls into, or you just push it into the tube, kind of like this. And then once it goes in there, it pushes back on those little prongs there so that this can come off. And those little prongs are the only thing that's holding that onto the barb there. So they make metal fittings for these that I will likely replace the plastic with the metal because those are extremely brittle, of course. But also, like I said, I was surprised they came apart in one piece. So last thing to do, parking brake cable. And I guess we will start moving the cab and see if there's anything else in our way. So we can take our Sharpie here and go like this. Not left-handed, so that might not look good, but parking brake cable. So let's get on that and see what we can get done. Alrighty. That was the biggest pain in the butt I have ever done. I totally understand why people cut those now, and if this project was going on 2 months of getting worked on, I probably would have cut it too. So the parking brake cable is extremely difficult to get out. I thought it was going to be most difficult down here where the one connector goes into 2. So each parking brake for each rear wheel goes into here. So there's 2 separate cables and then it comes to 1. And I thought I could take this apart and just slide the cable through here, kind of similar to how these come out. But that doesn't work because I was going to try and take it up through where it's going there and it doesn't fit through that hole. So then I realized after taking that apart, which I didn't need to do, that this needs to come out of the truck. And so you can kind of see there's a natural curve in it because this actually goes up and it wraps around the foot parking cable or parking brake that you push down with your foot. Actually, you push it down this way inside the truck. And so you're laying on your back on the seat and on the floor, trying to reach up in there to get that out. And I think that took me probably an hour. So huge pain in the butt, big setback. And I was seriously laying on the seat, you know, working down there, down in the bottom left-hand corner with my legs out the door. So I totally understand why people cut those. And if I knew there was a good cable on the other truck, I probably would have cut that as well, just because of how big of a pain in the butt that is. But we have the three things that I know we need to get unplugged, and now I am going to clean up a little bit, just a couple things I got laying around, and we're going to keep going and see if we can lift this cab up and see what our next hurdle is, because I'm sure there's something else that is not unplugged that needs to be unplugged. So I'll check back with you in a minute. Alrighty, so we're making good progress on getting the cab up. Two things I forgot about that were kind of should have been more obvious than they were. Started lifting it up and just kind of looking around, seeing what was left. The brake booster, master cylinder, vacuum line to the intake. I forgot about that guy. And then, funny as it is, since it's a four-wheel drive truck, forgot the arm that connects the shifter inside the cab. I forgot to unbolt that. So had to get that unbolted, and it is, I don't think we can see it from here, but you'll see it in a second when it's hanging from the bottom of my cab. So I got that undone, and I think I'm gonna keep you on video here, and we're gonna see if we can bring this thing up together. So I think it's fully free. There was one wire, which you can see dangling down right there. That was actually, had like a little Christmas tree fastener into the cab. So take it a little bit by a little bit and take a look underneath here, and you can see that arm hanging right there. Right there. That's the four-wheel drive arm for actuating. So the last thing I got is the shift cable, which was kind of giving me a hard time, and so I'm hoping I can get it up high enough that I can just go right underneath it. But fenders are free. Fender is free. Core support's on its own, which is kind of flopping into the truck, so we'll have to deal with that. But yeah, I don't see anything. I think this thing's going all the way up. Pretty sure. I guess we'll find out if we break something. I'm gonna leave it there on its locks, but dang, look at that. That's freaking wicked. Never done that before. That's pretty awesome. So I'm gonna get this, funny enough, because I bought this truck locally to me. One of my good buddies that's a mechanic, he was telling me how he had to put this shift cable in this truck because the floor is so freaking rotted out on this thing that it rotted out the shift cable, or it wore enough on the shift cable that he had to replace it. So he was kind of telling me when I first bought it, he's like, dude, that thing's rotten. I'm like, yeah, I know, I just was gonna beat on it for the winter, but then I found the cab and the bed, and I was like, let's try and save it. So that's awesome. We got this thing all tore apart. I'm pretty excited. So now we gotta figure out what the heck to do with this cab for the meantime. But I think right now I'm gonna get that cable out of there, and then the frame will be independent of the cab. Well, it is, but it will be. And then I can actually roll the frame back, and I'm gonna start tearing apart this a little bit, because I do not need this engine. And so I'm gonna pull it apart, and I'm gonna likely sell this engine within the next week or two. The transmission, my one of my coworkers might possibly buy it because his truck needs a transmission. Otherwise, I will, and one thing I'm just noticing as I'm looking at this, GM transmission. So it must have had a transmission replaced at one point in time, which I was guessing that it did with how many miles are on it and it being a 60E, but I wasn't for sure if it did. So that definitely confirms that it's had a transmission put in it before. So get the transfer case out and all this stuff maybe will come out together. Maybe not, I might separate it. So I'll catch back up with you guys in a little bit, but as I'm just doing a quick assessment, looks like we're gonna have to do a little bit with the body mounts or cab mounts and stuff like that. We're gonna need a little repair on those, which I know there's a guy that sells a kit for those plates, and might have to take him up on that one. So I'll catch up with you in a little bit. So you know when you buy a used vehicle and there's always, the longer that it's been used, there's always more questionable things done to it. Well, this has lots of questionable things done to it. Not, you don't even need to mention like the brake lines that look like spaghetti and the fact that this one was bent in a fashion that it literally rubbed into the transfer case right there. But maybe the fact that like someone probably did a fuel pump on this at one point in time and that isn't even connected to here properly, because these are two of the vents for the fuel tank, and that comes up to here, right here, and comes up to the filler neck so that it doesn't just vent outside, it vents back into the tank so that, you don't have fumes all over the place or whatever. And this is also a little questionable. I've never seen a hose this large with this thing on the outside of it, which is like a charcoal canister vent of some sort, or a purge valve. And I can tell that's not factory because it's got some strange hose clamps on it. So that's just some of the things I'm finding here as I'm kind of starting to tear into this. Right now, I'm working on getting the transfer case free because I think I'm going to kind of take this one piece at a time. The engine has the most electronics and stuff, so that's probably going to come out last. And also, it doesn't need to come out immediately, so I can take my time with that one. Like I said, my coworker's kind of after the transmission, so I would like to get that out sooner than later. And I would like to pull them out individually so they're a little more manageable for me on my end. So I am working on disconnecting. Got like, this is the wiring harness that folds over and goes into there. So I'm working on getting that disconnected, and there's a couple harnesses and taking good photos so that I remember where all this stuff goes. Now, it'll be interesting. I don't know exactly how this is going to work, but since I'm going to replace this transfer case with the NP149 from the Silverado SS, and this is the first time I'm looking at it, it looks like it's got the same sensor on the back for like the output speed sensor, but what it doesn't have is that white plug that was on the left, because that white plug basically tells the transfer case with this arm right here where it is in two-wheel drive or four high or four low or whatever. And so this plug isn't going to get used, so it'll be interesting to see. I don't think it'll throw a code or anything like that, or a light on the dash, but honestly, I am not fully sure. So I think I'm going to work on getting this transfer case out, and I'll pick back up with you when I make some progress on that. It's mostly just these bolts on the outside, and then I got to figure out where I want to take the drive shaft off. I should be able to slide it out of there, but I always forget when you're dealing with these and they got this rubber guy on it. I always forget how that, I think that someone took the Oetiker clamp off this side, so I should be able to just slide that off. But anyways, this transfer case is extremely nasty. If I grab my little pocket screwdriver here, there's like, I'm trying not to fling it everywhere, but there's a substantial amount of leakage going on here. So think of like some Nutella maybe. What do you think? Put it on a sandwich? All right, I'm done messing around. But that's gonna be a dirty task. So pick back up when I can and see where we're at next time I see you. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna call it for the day here pretty soon, but got the transfer case out. Had to get the cross member out so I could get the bottom bolt for the transfer case, or the nut technically. So that guy's out. No clue what I'm gonna do with that. It's pretty ratty. It is the same transfer case as what's in my 2001 GMC Sierra, so I might keep it as a spare, but I don't know. Honestly, if that truck's transfer case ever goes out, I should probably just rebuild it or something like that and not swap in an unknown, maybe 255,000 mile transfer case. So this is kind of close to where we'll leave it, I think, for today. I need to probably put the cross member back in or do some support with the jack or whatever. But other than that, a little interesting as I'm looking around here. The transmission looks like, I need to confirm, but I think it's missing a bolt right there. So that's going to be the next on our list, I think, is getting the transmission out of there. So hopefully you enjoyed what we did today. Made some good progress. Really happy with how everything came out and is coming out. So from now on, it's going to be a lot of organization, keeping track of wires, laying out harnesses, lots of photos. But other than that, enjoy the video. Hope you enjoyed the video, and have a nice week. Bye.